After years of repairing my dad's car and supporting him through everything, he introduced his stepson as the only son he respected, and that betrayal closed whatever chapter of family I still believed in. It started 3 hours ago at Dad's 60th birthday party. I'd been planning this for months. Every weekend for the past year. I'd driven 2 hours to fix his '89 Camaro that he'd been trying to restore since Mom died. My weekends, my money, my knuckles bleeding on rusted bolts because this car meant everything to Mother. I believed him. Tonight was supposed to be perfect. I'd finally gotten the engine purring like it did when Mom was alive. Dad cried when he heard it. Actually cried. I thought maybe, finally after 28 years of trying to earn his approval, I'd done something right. Then Rebecca's family showed. Rebecca, his new wife of 2 years. Sweet woman honestly. I tried to like her. I really did. But she brought her son Marcus. 25, successful lawyer. Everything I'm not. While I was working construction and spending my savings on Dad's car, Marcus was climbing corporate ladders and buying investment properties. The moment that destroyed me happened so casually. So brutally casual. Dad was showing off the Camaro to the neighbors. Engine running smooth, paint gleaming. I was standing right there, grease still under my fingernails, when Mrs. Peterson from next door said, "Tom must be so proud. Which one of boys fixed this beauty?" I started to step forward, started to smile. Dad put his arm around Marcus. "This is my son Marcus," he said, voice swelling with pride I'd never heard directed at me. "He's the only boy I've got who really gets what hard work means. Bought his own house at 24. Now that's the kind of man I raised to respect." The world tilted. Marcus looked uncomfortable. Rebecca looked mortified. But Dad just kept going, oblivious to the fact that I was standing 3 feet away. Oil stains on my shirt from working on A's car all morning. I always told Marcus's mom she raised him right. Some kids know they just drift through expecting handouts. But Marcus here, he earned everything he's got. I couldn't breathe. How 28 years of Sunday dinners where I was the disappointment. 28 years of why can't be more like other people's kids. 28 years of trying to prove I was worthy of basic acknowledgement. And here was Dad, arm around another man's son, giving him the pride I'd bled for. "Dad," I said, voice cracking like I was 12 again. "Dad, I'm the one who fixed car." He looked at me like I'd interrupted something important. "Oh right, yeah, thanks for that." Then back to Mrs. Peterson. "Marcus here just got promoted to partner, youngest in his firm's history." That's when I snapped, not worse. I snapped quietly, completely irreversibly. I walked to the Camaro, reached under the hood, pulled out the main relay I'd spent weeks tracking down at junkyards. The car died instantly. "There," I said, holding the part. "Now can explain to everyone how real son helped." The silence was deafening. Dad's face went through confusion, then anger. Then something I'd never seen before. Disgust. "What the is wrong with?" he hissed. "We're embarrassing. Marcus would never throw a tantrum like this." And there it was. The final comparison, the last time I'd ever try to measure. I looked at Marcus. Poor guy looked like he wanted to disappear. I looked at Rebecca, tears in her eyes. I looked at the neighbors, suddenly very interested in their shoes. Then I looked at my dad. Right," I said. "Marcus would never do this. Because Marcus never spent every weekend for a year trying to earn love from someone who already gave it to somebody else." I dropped the relay in the dirt and walked to my truck. Behind me, I heard Dad telling everyone I'd always been difficult. That some people just can't handle other people's success. That he was sorry they had to see this. I sat in my truck for 20 minutes, engine running, waiting for him to come after me. Waiting for him to say he was sorry that he'd made a mistake, that of course I was his son too. He never came. Instead, through the window I watched him and Marcus trying to figure out how to fix the car. Watched them bond over my sabotage. Watched my dad find a way to turn even my breakdown into a teaching moment for the son he actually wanted. That's when I realized the truth that's been eating at me for 3 hours now. I didn't lose my dad's respect tonight. I never had it to begin with. And the worst part, the absolutely soul-crushing worst part, I'd spent so many years focused on earning Dad's love that I'd neglected the people who already gave it freely. My girlfriend Sarah has been texting me for 2 hours. "Are okay? Please come home. I love." I've been staring at those messages, realizing I've been chasing ghosts while real love was waiting in my apartment. But right now I'm too broken to face her. Too ashamed to admit that at 28, I'm still that little boy desperate for Daddy's approval. I'm writing this from a McDonald's parking lot because I can't go home yet. Can't face Sarah's concerned questions when I don't have answers. Can't explain that I just torched the only family relationship I had left over a car and some misplaced pride. Tomorrow I have to figure out how to rebuild. How to stop defining by a man who never saw me as worthy of his pride. How to focus on the love I have instead of the love I'll never get. But tonight I'm just sitting here, understanding that some betrayals so deep they change DNA. That 30 years of hoping can in 30 seconds. That sometimes the people who are supposed to love most are the ones who teach that love always comes with conditions. The relay is still in my pocket. Such a small thing to destroy so much. It's been 2 weeks since Dad's party. 2 weeks since I torched my family. I thought the worst was over. I was so wrong. Sarah left me yesterday. Not because of what happened at the party. She actually defended that. Said Dad was cruel, that I had every right to be. No, Sarah left because of what I became after. The night of the party, I finally went home around 4 a.m. Found her waiting on the couch, still in her pajamas, eyes red from crying. She'd been calling my dad's house. The neighbors even drove around looking for my truck. She was terrified something had happened to me. "Thank God," she whispered when I walked in. "I thought we're dead." I should have held her. Should have apologized for scaring her. Should have let her comfort me like she'd been trying to do for 3 years. Instead I told her everything. Every detail. Every comparison Dad ever made. Every time I felt inadequate. 3 years of relationship, and I'd never told her how broken I was inside. How every success of mine felt hollow because the one person whose approval I craved couldn't care less. She listened for 2 hours, made coffee, rubbed my back, told me she loved me exactly as I was. Don't need his validation, she said softly. I see who our friends see it. Why isn't that enough? That question broke something in me. Because it's not the same. I exploded. You're supposed to love me. That's what girlfriends do. But own father, he's supposed to be proud of just for existing, and mine can't even remember I exist when his golden boy is around. The in her eyes still haunts me. Supposed to love, she repeated quietly. Like it's some obligation. I tried to backtrack, but the damage was done. I just told the woman who'd supported me through job losses, depression, and every family crisis that her love didn't count because it came too easily. The next morning, she was different. Distant, still caring, but carefully so. Like she was protecting herself. That's when I made everything worse. Instead of focusing on us, on repairing what I'd damaged, I became obsessed with Dad. With proving something, I started driving by his house, checking his Facebook, asking mutual friends about him. I found out he'd been bragging about Marcus for months, telling everyone at his job about his boy the lawyer, showing off pictures of Marcus's house, his car, his girlfriend. Things I knew nothing about because Dad had never once bragged about me to anyone. I found out Marcus had been helping him with taxes, giving him investment advice, taking him to fancy dinners. All the son things I thought I was doing, Marcus was doing better. I found out Dad had been telling people I was going through a phase. That I'd always been jealous of successful people. That he was hoping I'd grow out of it. Each discovery was a fresh wound. Each piece of evidence that I was the spare son, the backup plan. The disappointment. I started drinking. Not heavily, just enough to numb the constant ache. Sarah noticed immediately, or disappearing, she said one night, watching me scroll through Dad's social media for the 100th time. Right here, but we're not present. Haven't been present since that night. She was right. I wasn't present. I was living in my head, in my pain, in this obsession with a man who didn't want me. I need to understand why I'm not enough, I told her. I need to figure out what's wrong with me. Nothing's wrong with. She shouted, the first time she'd ever raised her voice at me. The only thing wrong is that are letting him destroy from the inside out, or choosing him over everyone who actually loves. He's my father, and I'm girlfriend, or I was. I don't even know anymore. That lasted 3 days. 3 days of me trying to explain why Dad's rejection more than anything else ever could. 3 days of Sarah trying to make me see that I was destroying the good relationships in my over a bad one. 3 days that ended with her saying the words that still echo in my empty apartment. I can't compete with need to be by him. I can't love enough to fill the hole he left. And I can't watch choose that hole over everything real and point. She packed while I was at work. Left a note saying she'd always love me, but she couldn't love me enough for both of us. That was yesterday. Today, I found out Dad's been telling people I had a mental breakdown at his party. That he's concerned about my stability. That maybe it's genetic since my mom always was overly emotional. He dragged my dead mother into his story. Made her part of his explanation for why I'm defective. I called him tonight. First time we'd spoken since the party. Dad, we need to talk. Oh, hey. His voice was cold, distant. Look, I don't know what want me to say. Embarrassed me. Marcus felt terrible. Marcus, what about me? What about? Acted like a child. Ruined a car I've been working on for months. I've been working on for a year. Every weekend. Money my time my upon silence. Then, well, nobody asked to do that. The words hit like a physical. Nobody asked me. Dad called me crying when couldn't get it started. Said it was the only thing left of Mom. Said, I say a lot of things. Doesn't mean have to take everything so seriously. Marcus knows how to help without making it about himself. There it was again. Marcus. Perfect Marcus who could do everything I did but better, without needing recognition. Why don't just adopt him officially? I asked, the words coming out like, make it legal. Then won't have to pretend I'm son anymore. Another silence. Longer this time, maybe that would be easier. He said finally, for both of us. The line went dead. I'm typing this from Sarah's favorite coffee shop. The one where she used to meet me between classes when she was finishing her degree. The one where she'd like talking about her future, about our future, about the we were building together. The barista recognized me, asked where Sarah was. I couldn't answer. I keep replaying that conversation with Dad. Maybe that would be easier for both of us. Like I was some burden he'd been carrying out of obligation. Like 30 years of trying to be his son was just an inconvenience he'd finally found the courage to address. But the worst part isn't losing Dad. I knew that relationship was broken, maybe always was. The worst part is understanding that Sarah was right. I chose the pain over the love. I chose the person who rejected me over the person who chose me every single day for 3 years. I chose to water a dead plant while the living one withered from neglect. And now I'm alone in a coffee shop, writing to strangers on the internet, her because I've successfully destroyed every meaningful relationship in my chasing validation from someone who never planned to give it. The apartment feels like a tomb. Sarah's coffee mug is still in the sink. Her books are gone from the nightstand. The space where her shoes used to be by the door looks like a missing tooth. 3 weeks ago I had a girlfriend who loved me and a father I thought might learn to respect me. Tonight I have neither, heard, and I'm beginning to understand that this is what rock bottom actually feels like. Not dramatic, not cinematic, just empty. Just the sound of own breathing in a space that used to hold laughter. I keep checking my phone, hoping for a text from Sarah, hoping she'll change her mind, give me another chance to prove I can prioritize what matters. But why would she? I spent 2 weeks showing her exactly where she ranked in my second place. Heard always second place to my need to be wounded by a man who stopped caring about me sometime around kindergarten. Tomorrow, I have to figure out how to rebuild a when burned down all the reasons for living it. But tonight, I'm just a 30-year-old man learning the hardest lesson there is. Sometimes the people who love conditionally teach to reject the people who love completely. It's been 3 months. 3 months since I lost everything that mattered while chasing something that never existed. I thought losing Sarah was rock bottom. I was naive. Rock bottom was watching her engagement photos on Instagram last week. She's marrying David. Remember David, her study partner from grad school. The one I was always slightly jealous of because he made her laugh so easily. The one who was just a friend, but somehow knew exactly what coffee to bring her during finals week. Turns out, he'd been in love with her for 2 years, waiting respectfully in the background while she was with me. When she left me, broken and needing someone who could actually be present, he was there. The photos are beautiful. Sarah looks radiant. Happy in a way I don't remember her looking with me, not toward the end. David's looking at her like she's the only person in the world. Like I used to look at her before I became consumed with earning love from someone who had none to give. 6 months. They're engaged after 6 months. It took me 3 years to even talk about moving in together because I was always saving money for Dad's next crisis, always emotionally unavailable, always ranking her below my desperate need for paternal approval. I found out through Facebook because she'd blocked my number after I called her one night, begging her to come back, promising I'd changed. That was 2 months ago. I hadn't changed. I was still obsessing over Dad, still checking his social media, still driving past his house like some kind of. But seeing those engagement photos did something to me. Broke something that was already cracked beyond repair. I finally understood that while I was demolishing my over a man who wished I didn't exist, Sarah was building a new one with someone who sees her worth. The worst part, I'm happy for her. Genuinely happy. She deserves someone who chooses her first, always, without question. She deserves someone who doesn't treat her love like a consolation prize. That realization led me to do something I should have done months ago. I went to therapy. Dr. Martinez is patient in the way that makes feel more pathetic, not better. She listens to my story without judgment, then asks questions that like surgical instruments. Tell me about earliest memory of trying to earn father's approval. I was 4, maybe 5. Dad was teaching me to tie my shoes, getting frustrated because I couldn't get it right. Marcus would have learned this by now, he said, except Marcus wasn't even in the picture then. Dad was already comparing me to an imaginary perfect child. What did learn from that moment? That I wasn't enough. That somewhere out there was a better version of me that Dad would prefer. And how did that belief shape relationships? The question broke me open. It shaped everything. Every friendship where I tried too hard. Every job where I worked to exhaustion seeking praise. Her every moment with Sarah where I held back pieces of because deep down, I believed that if she knew the real me, the disappointing, never enough me, she'd leave. Which she did. But not because I wasn't enough. Because I never let her close enough to love the real me. 3 months of therapy and I'm finally seeing the scope of the damage. It wasn't just Dad, it wasn't just Sarah, it was me. Systematically destroying every good thing in my because I learned before kindergarten that love was something had to earn, and I was fundamentally unworthy of earning it. Last week, I did something I never thought I'd do. I reached out to Marcus. Found him on LinkedIn, sent a message apologizing for the party, for making him uncomfortable, for dragging him into a family dysfunction that wasn't his fault. He responded within hours. Hey man, no worries at all. I actually wanted to reach out to after that night. What happened wasn't fair. Dad talks about all the time, no, always has, maybe not in the way need to hear it, but he does care about. I stared at that message for an hour. Then I called him. Marcus is decent. Really decent. Uncomfortable with the attention Dad gives him, aware that it comes at my expense, genuinely confused about why Dad can't see what I've done for him. He showed me the Camaro, Marcus told me. Kept talking about how'd spent a year restoring it. He was proud, man. Really proud. He just, I don't know. He has a weird way of showing it. He called his only son, yeah, and I called him out on that later. Told him it was mess to say that with standing right there. He got defensive, started making excuses. I think he knows but he's too proud to admit it. We talked for 2 hours. Marcus told me things I never knew. How Dad brags about me at work, tells everyone about the construction projects I've managed, shows off pictures of houses I've helped build. How Dad keeps every birthday card I've ever given him in his desk drawer. How Dad asks about me constantly but never calls because he doesn't want to bother me. He's proud of in private, Marcus said. But for some reason he can't say it to face. It's like he thinks praise will make soft or something. Old school mentality. No, I wanted to feel better. Wanted this information to heal something. But all it did was make me angrier. Proud in private means nothing when child is dying for public acknowledgement. Keeping birthday cards means nothing when can't say, I love, out loud. Bragging to coworkers means nothing when introduce another man as only worthy son. But talking to Marcus did give me clarity about one thing Dad's broken, has been for years, maybe decades. His inability to express love isn't about my worth, it's about his damage. That understanding came too late to save my relationship with Sarah. Too late to save me from 3 months of self-destruction. Too late to prevent me from learning the hardest way possible that can't fix childhood wounds by sacrificing happiness. Yesterday I drove past Dad's house one last time. Saw him and Rebecca in the garden, planting flowers. He looked older, smaller. For the first time, I felt something other than anger or desperate need. I felt pity. Here's a man so emotionally stunted that he destroyed his relationship with his only biological child rather than admit he's proud of him. A man so afraid of vulnerability that he'd rather lose his son than risk appearing soft by expressing love. I didn't stop, didn't call, just drove past and felt the strangest sensation: relief. Relief that I'm not him. Relief that I still have time to learn how to love properly, how to receive love, how to stop punishing people for caring about me. But that relief comes with a price I'll pay for the rest of my. Sarah's wedding is in 2 months. I won't be invited, obviously. Heard. I'll probably spend that day thinking about what I could have been celebrating if I'd chosen differently. If I'd prioritized the woman who loved me over the man who couldn't express it. I'll think about the kids we might have had. Kids I would have known how to love out loud, how to praise publicly, how to make feel worthy just for existing. Kids who would never have to restore a car for a year just to hear their father say, "Good job." I'll think about growing old with someone who chose me every day, instead of growing old alone because I couldn't stop chasing someone who never chose me at all. Tonight, I'm in the apartment that still echoes with Sarah's absence. Her coffee mug is gone now. I finally washed it. Her books found new owners. The space by the door where her shoes used to be has been filled with my work boots, but it still looks wrong, still looks incomplete. I have a date next week, first one since Sarah left. Her name is Amanda. She's kind, she laughs easily, but I can already feel holding back, protecting the broken parts, afraid to invest too much in case she realizes what my father always knew, that I'm somehow fundamentally lacking. 3 months of therapy, and I still hear Dad's voice every time someone tries to get close. Still feel that old familiar panic that they'll discover I'm not worth loving consistently. Maybe someday I'll heal enough to love someone properly. Maybe someday I'll meet someone patient enough to love me while I learn. Maybe someday I'll have another chance at the kind of happiness I away. But Sarah was my unconditional love, and I traded it for conditional approval that never came. She was my chance to break the cycle, and instead I let the cycle break us. Heard. Now she's getting the love story she deserves with someone who was smart enough to see her worth from day one, while I'm learning's cruelest lesson in an empty apartment that still smells like her perfume. When teach someone that they're second choice long enough, eventually they'll choose to be someone else's first.